This is continuous coverage
Continuous coverage.
in the trial of Lori Vallow Daybell from the Hidden Killers podcast.
Hidden Killers podcast.
That it is, and we are now up to segment number 4, the final segment of courtroom coverage for the week as they're taking off on Friday. Let's head to the courtroom.
The next one, and I apologize, apparently they got out of order, would be 120, and I apologize, Judge, for Lincoln National Life Insurance Certified Business Records.
All right, Exhibit 120 is offered. Is there any objection?
Those are the business records for the life insurance policy for Joe Ryan.
No objection.
All right, Exhibit 120 has been admitted.
Next, the state would offer certified business records from Verizon from a search warrant 2019-42.
And what was the exhibit number?
128.
Exhibit 128 is offered. Is there any objection?
No.
All right, 128 has been admitted.
The next would be State's Exhibit 129, certified business records for a search warrant 2020-41.
Any objection as to Exhibit 129?
No.
Exhibit 129 has been admitted.
The next one would be State's Exhibit 130 for additional Verizon certified business records for search warrant and associated data 2020-47.
Any objection to Exhibit 130?
No, Your Honor.
It's admitted.
The State's Exhibit 131, the business records from Verizon for phone number 801-669-4368, which would be search warrant 2020-14. I believe I said 131, but...
You did.
Okay, sorry.
So Exhibit 131 is offered. Is there any objection?
No, Your Honor.
Exhibit 131 has been admitted.
Okay. The next one is State's Exhibit 132 from Verizon, additional certified business records for cell phones, 20 associated with search warrants, and the phone number 480-341-9585.
All right, that's Exhibit 132 offered. Any objection?
No.
Exhibit 132 has been admitted.
The next one would be State's Exhibit 133, additional certified business records for 4 different phone numbers attributable to and associated with some returns for 2020, search warrant 2020-28.
Any objection as to Exhibit 133?
No, Your Honor.
That exhibit is now admitted.
And then the next would be 131, the certified business records.
Ms. Smith, we've already done 131.
134.
Okay, thank you.
Clearly should have had more coffee at lunch, Judge. I'm sorry. Exhibit 134, the Verizon certified business records for search warrant and 2020-46, and the records for 2 different phone numbers.
Exhibit 134 is offered. Is there any objection?
No, Your Honor.
That exhibit is admitted.
This would be a certified business records from AT&T for multiple different cell phone numbers associated with this case, and outline in a request 3002081 and previously supplied to defense counsel.
And what was the exhibit number for that?
135.
Exhibit 135 is now offered. Is there any objection?
No.
That exhibit's now admitted.
Your Honor, the next one would be State's Exhibit 136, the certified business records associated from CPA Garth Wilcox for the financial books of Chad and Tammy Daybell.
Any objection to 136?
No, Your Honor.
That exhibit is now admitted.
The next would be 137, certified business records from Walmart Pharmacy for information and prescription pharmaceutical records for Tamara Daybell.
Any objection to Exhibit 137?
No.
That exhibit's now admitted.
And Exhibit 138, certified business records from Life Map Assurance, an insurance company attributed to life insurance and payout information related to Tamara Daybell.
All right, Exhibit 138 is offered. Is there any objection?
No, Your Honor.
138 is admitted.
Okay. And then moving forward is State's Exhibit 143, Amazon certified business records.
Any objection to 143?
Large stack.
Is it just the one page or is this attached, counsel?
It was attached. So I could see you had the one page. It's the larger stack. It should be attached to it.
No objection, Your Honor.
Okay, Exhibit 143 is now admitted.
Okay. I think that's all those for now, Judge.
All right, thank you, Ms. Smith.
Okay.
All right, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, as I mentioned before, when we have voluminous exhibits that get admitted, this is sometimes a more efficient way to submit those. They will be available for you in your consideration during deliberations, and we appreciate your patience in working through that process, which we need to do orderly to make sure the record of the case is clear. All right, at this time you can inquire on direct then, Ms. Smith.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you, Detective Sergeant. Sorry about that. Sir, can you tell us a little bit about your background?
I have been involved in law enforcement for the past 30 years. I'm the, if you will, the second line supervisor over the detective division for the Rexburg Police Department. I guess what that means is our detectives, if you will, I assign cases to them. I communicate with them on what they've got going on and so forth and so on to keep things moving smoothly in our division. I am a advanced certificate holder for Idaho Post.
So when you, what is Idaho Post?
Peace Officer Standards and Training, located in Meridian.
So you're a detective sergeant and you're a supervisor. Do you have any specific training in terms of the actual investigative techniques used in your department?
So over the last, I would say about 12 years, I have, if you will, specialized in computer forensics, cell phone forensics, cellular data, cellular locating of cell phones and other electronic devices, anything basically dealing with electronic devices. I have received certificates, trainings, hundreds of hours dealing with these kind of things.
So these kind of things, that means like the collection, the storage, the analysis of evidence obtained from electronic devices? That
would be correct.
Okay. Do you have any idea how many electronic devices you've looked at, used, and analyzed?
I would have to say hundreds.
Okay.
I can't give you an exact number.
Okay. Now, in addition to your personal investigative work and work in electronic evidence, do you also have supervisory roles that were implicated in a case involving JJ, Vallow, and Tylee Ryan?
Yes.
Okay. How did you become involved into what ultimately became a homicide investigation into the death of JJ Vallow and Tylee Ryan?
Okay, so my first involvement with anything to do with the parties involved in this case would have started on November 1st of 2019.
So, and what was that first involvement?
We were contacted, first of all, by Fremont County Sheriff's Office. They were requesting that they had been given information from authorities in Arizona. They were interested in finding and locating, if you will, a gray Jeep Wrangler with Texas license plates that they believed was involved in an attempted shooting in their jurisdiction in Arizona.
So what did you do?
Upon receiving this request, several of our officers went to the address that we were given, which would have been 565 Pioneer Road, more specifically apartment 175, where we attempted to locate the before mentioned Jeep by doing surveillance in that area.
So why did you go to that particular apartment? You said you were given information. What information led you there?
Information that the Jeep, the parties that would be interest in the Jeep were, I believe, 4 individuals that we were given names of. The first being Lori Vallow, Alex Cox, Chad Daybell, and Tylee Ryan.
And so were those individuals that people of interest in connection to this Jeep?
Yes.
So once you had those names and that address, what process did you and the people who reported to you follow?
So, as I mentioned, we went to the residence where several of us set up in different locations, doing surveillance on the apartment, hoping to discover the whereabouts of the Jeep. Where at that time, throughout the day, we were unable to locate it at that time.
And were you eventually able to locate it?
Not on that date. It was located on November 4th.
So from around November 1st through November 4th, did you also look for the individuals that you were given names of?
Yes.
Okay. Is that commonly called, did you do surveillance looking for those people?
Yes, we did surveillance.
Okay. Did you ever see any of those individuals?
So at one point in the afternoon of that day, I witnessed Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell enter a blue Subaru car and leave the residence. At this time, because we hadn't found the Jeep, our philosophy was maybe if we were to follow them, they would lead us to where the Jeep was located. And so we continued to follow them, hoping to find the Jeep.
And who's we?
So there were different officers throughout the day, but actually the ones who followed them, which ultimately ended us up in the town of Idaho Falls. There was myself, Joe Powell, and that's right there.
Other officers?
Another Fremont officer.
Okay. And so as you followed them, who did you follow?
We followed the blue car, which the occupants were Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow.
Okay. And did you take any photographs of them?
I did. We followed them to Idaho Falls. They made a couple stops, a Mountain America Credit Union, and after they left there, they proceeded through the parking lot to the adjacent business, which would have been Hobby Lobby. And at that time, I parked a short ways away from them, and I watched the two of them exit the car, walk through the parking lot together into Hobby Lobby.
Okay. I had moved my exhibits over there, so let me grab them. So that they're not. And forgive me, I think you said you had made the observations. Did you actually photograph them as well?
Yes, I took some photographs of them walking toward the store.
Okay. Your Honor, the state would request that State's Exhibit 36C and B be shown to the witness. Both a courtesy copy has been supplied the court, and a copy has been given to defense counsel as well. It was also previously disclosed to defense counsel.
They can be shown to the witness.
Thank you.
We can't show the jury yet, but do you recognize State's Exhibit 36B and C?
Yes, I do.
Okay. What are they?
These would be copies of the photographs that I took of the two individuals entering the store.
Okay. And what date?
This would have been November 1st, 2019.
Okay. Your Honor, move for the admission of State's Exhibit 36B and C.
Any objection?
No.
Okay. Exhibits 36B and C are both admitted.
Okay. Request permission to publish, Your Honor.
They may be published.
Confident it's user error, Your Honor?
We'll check. We have had an issue, so let's make sure.
What's that? I don't need the computer. I was just making sure it was covered. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. No, ma'am. It's not accepting it when I push source. There we go. I just need to be more patient. I'm going to show you what has been marked is State's Exhibit 36B. Can you describe this for us and tell us what your observations were?
Yes, so in this photograph, I was inside of my car, took this photograph out of my windshield. This would be Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow as they were walking into the store. My observations were they were walking, they were holding hands and at times talking, and I witnessed Lori at times was placing her head on his shoulder as they walked toward the store.
And what are we seeing in 36C?
This would just be as I was approaching them through the parking lot and I was getting closer to them. This is just another photograph of the same as I got closer. They were holding hands and walking into the store as well.
Okay. And at this time on November 1st, did you have an idea as to the nature of the relationship between those two?
I had been told that they had possibly been together.
Okay. And so you indicated that the Jeep itself was later found?
Yes, 3 days later, on the 4th, which was a Monday, it was located at that residence, the before-mentioned residence.
In which particular apartment?
In the parking lot outside of apartment 175.
Okay. And when it was located, was that vehicle seized?
Yes, we had been requested to recover the vehicle for Arizona.
Okay. And did the Rexburg Police Department do that?
Yes, we had the vehicle towed to our secure impound lot.
Okay. And who was identified, if you remember, who was identified as the owner of that vehicle?
I believe the owner, at least on the registration, was Joe Ryan and Tylee Ryan.
Okay. And so on November 4th, when the car is towed, did anybody call the police looking for the car?
So from that time until really my next encounter with them, there were no inquiries as to where the car had gone. We had even tried to reach out and say that we had taken the car, but were not able to get a hold of anybody, and nor did anyone inquire that their vehicle was missing.
Okay. And Tylee Ryan was a teenager, and it was known to be her car?
Yes, it was known to be what she would drive.
Okay. Now, you said your next encounter with them. What was the next encounter with them?
So after this encounter involving the Jeep, again on August 26th, we had received information.
I'm sorry, what date?
September 26th. We had received information that a child.
I'll object, Your Honor. Hearsay.
That'll be sustained.
Okay. You said there was another encounter with them, so the Jeep was seized November 4th, and forgive me, I may have misheard. The registered owner on that car was Charles Vallow and Tylee Ryan?
No, I believe it was Joe Ryan and Tylee Ryan.
Okay. And then after November 4th, what was the next contact you had with anyone involved in the group you discussed?
That would have been September 26th.
Okay. September 26th of 2019?
Correct.
Okay. What occurred then?
We had been requested to again go to that particular residence where we were asked to do a welfare check on a child by the name of JJ Vallow. This request was at the request of his grandmother.
Understood. So did that request for the wild child check on JJ Vallow happen before the Jeep was found or after the Jeep was found?
The welfare check was after the Jeep was found.
Okay. And the Jeep was found November 4th?
It was seized November 4th, yes.
Okay. And then the welfare check on the child occurred after that?
Correct.
So that would be November or September, because you were saying September earlier.
It was my mistake. November 26th is when we made that contact.
Okay. And when you say we made that contact, how was contact made?
So, Detective Hermosillo had received the initial request on the welfare check. Detective Hermosillo had gotten with myself in regards to that he had received that request. Being the supervisor, if you will, he would keep us in the loop of.
I'll object, Your Honor, to hearsay.
It does appear that's starting to elicit hearsay.
Your Honor, I'm actually not offering it for the truth of what Hermosillo said, but this caused the detective sergeant to take a particular step, and that makes logical connection to why he made that step.
Okay, fair enough. If the witness can get there without indicating specific statements of others, I think that would be more appropriate.
After receiving information about proceeding to an address, what did you do?
At some point, myself and Lieutenant Ball went back to that location at 565 Pioneer Road, number 175, where we were asked if we could help try and locate Lori Vallow and do a welfare check on her son, JJ Vallow.
Okay. And so when you said you were asked to do that, do you know the basis of that request?
I know that Detective Hermosillo and Detective Hope had gone over that location trying to inquire about JJ.
I'll object, Your Honor.
Yeah, and I can move on. I'm trying to get there. I'll get around it. Thanks. Let me ask it in a different way. So without saying what somebody told you, why did you go to that address at 175?
We were requested to do so to help with locating the child, JJ Vallow.
Is it typical for the lieutenant and the sergeant to go on those calls?
It would be, yes.
Okay. And so once you guys got there, what did you find?
At that time, we made contact, or we knocked on the door of apartment 175 to make contact with Lori Vallow with the objective of doing a welfare check on JJ Vallow.
Okay. And once you got to that location, were you able to make contact with Lori Vallow?
Yes, we were.
Okay. And during that contact, were you able to have a conversation with Lori Vallow?
Yes.
Okay. Now, were you wearing any sort of body cam?
I was wearing a body cam, yes.
Okay. And just so that we're all clear, what is a body cam?
Typically, officers, when they're dealing in the course of their job, wear body cams so that encounters that we have with, if you will, the public can be documented for not only the safety of the officer, but the safety of the public we deal with.
And the body cam you were wearing on November 26th, was it on and operating when you made contact with Lori Vallow?
Yes.
And in anticipation of testifying today, did you review or prepare and review a thumb drive with a copy of that recording?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And that recording, was it a true and accurate copy of the recording of your body cam of your initial contact with Lori Vallow on November 26th?
Yes, it is.
Okay. May I ask that the witness be given State's Exhibit 59, Your Honor?
Yes.
Sorry. Thank you. Do you recognize State's Exhibit 59?
I do. It is a flash drive that I prepared with my first encounter body cam also has my handwriting on it.
Okay. Your Honor, I move for the admission of State's Exhibit 59.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
Exhibit 59 is admitted.
I request permission to play it for the jurors.
You may. And again, for the record, the exhibit is the thumb drive. It contains that only the one file on the thumb drive. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying that.
Okay, you go do it.
And Ms. Smith, do you happen to know the length of the footage?
I don't want to be wrong. Detective Sergeant, what is it about? How long is it?
Probably about 5 minutes
Okay,
All right. Thank you.
or less.
thanks. Thank you.
Find out.
Yeah, I know the court didn't. That's my You're on the wrong thumb drive. Thank you. Thanks. I think we're ready, Judge. Thanks.
Very well. You can publish that. Yes.
Her car's out there too. In the back, it's blue. Blue Subaru.
Hi, you Lori. Lori, I'm Lieutenant Ball from the police department. How are you? You got a minute? You all alone or a helper?
My brother's here.
So, we're here.
Oh, this is a big mess. I just talked to the guy on the phone.
What are you asking?
He was just saying that he wanted to do a well check on BJ.
So, what would you have to do if you were?
He's in Arizona.
Who's he with in Arizona?
He's with one of my friends in Arizona.
Oh, you got no bat?
No.
No. Come here. Mind you, come to me.
Oh,
So,
alright.
who's the friend he's with?
My friend Melanie. Her son has autism. Her name's Melanie. I gave him all the information.
Okay, so he called this part.
Yeah. What is all this?
We're a little concerned.
Right.
Well, the officers who were here earlier
Yeah.
were checking, and they got a bad vibe that like something was going on here because nobody knew anything about a job and wouldn't talk yet.
It's because a lot of stuff that's going on. So you don't want to know it's a lot of stuff. So
Well, that's why we're concerned because it just was kind of weird.
it is very weird. I've had to move around a lot. One of my brothers is trying to kill me. Not the brother that was here. Obviously, he's kind of my protector. My other brother was in with my husband who was trying to kill me for my $2 million life insurance.
No.
So a lot of stuff is going on this last year. It's been a horrible year for us. I've had to move around. And so I was going to move back to Arizona, put my son back into school there because I tried for high school here, public school in Kennedy. He went for 2 months and tried it, but he had his chance. Now, the person who called is my sister-in-law, but she's his natural grandmother. He's adopted by us. Okay, so her son, who's a drug addict, had a baby with a girl who's a drug addict, and they took him from USPS, gave him to the grandmother. She came by, and then she wanted us to adopt him, which we did. Loved him. My husband and I, who died earlier this year. He passed away. Since he passed away, she's been trying to fight me for him and being really horrible to me. She's kind of the paternal friend.
Okay, thank you.
That makes sense.
That's what I mean. The paternal grandmother.
Yes, he has autism and ADHD. He doesn't really talk to people. Like he's very special needs. So I have him in a special needs school there. She was trying to. So what happened was, my husband, we were married for 18 years and have raised all these 5 kids together, switched his life insurance policy to her, right? To his sister, who got $1 million when he died, and we got nothing. For me to raise JJ, and all the kids got nothing, and everybody got nothing. She got $1 million. So I knew she was going to try to sue me for him, or she got us $1 million, so she can hire people to help him and not have nothing.
But you have legal custody.
He's my son. I adopted him. Right. It's 2 years. We had him from the time he was 8 months old until 2 years old. So she does nothing that wants to cause me trouble. So I don't tell people the truth about where we're going, what we're doing, because of those reasons. So I look like a suspect, but I am a good person. I've raised all of my kids. I've done everything that I'm supposed to do in life. But that's what is causing me trouble right now. So.
We don't want to cause you trouble. How long have you been here?
We only been here since September.
Okay.
We moved up here in September. My daughter to go to BYUI.
Your daughter goes to BYUI?
Yeah.
Does she live here?
So it's been a nightmare. I'm going to go back to Arizona so I can go back to the special needs school. You can do the school here. It's too hard for him. He would scream and cry, take him to school. The principal would have to come out and try to drag him out of the car. Like, it's too hard. But I just don't tell people where I am. I don't tell her where I am ever. She doesn't have any legal rights to anything. Like, she's been horrible to me since I was a child.
My understanding, she never called me to try to get the child. You know, hey, I'm interested in the child back. You know, but that.
I know, but she sends me these emails, like the dates, and like she's putting up court stuff. You know, like she's documenting. I haven't heard from him in all this time, and so I've told her that he's going to.
See, we haven't heard any of that as far as.
I'm just saying she's doing this as part of that, is my understanding.
And our only concern in this whole thing is the child.
I got it.
And so that's where we're at on the. And then we were just a little weirded out when, you know, and I understand now that you've heard your side of the story.
It's awful. I feel like I'm being tracked all the time. Like, why are police coming to my door? What did I do?
They said you're out visiting 2 guys, and I assume one's your brother?
Who was this? Yeah.
Who was the other one? The other guy they were visiting with. There were 2. Well, we had 2 detectives over here trying to.
Looking for you a little while ago.
Oh, because I was at the store.
And they ran into. Well, probably one of your brothers.
My brother and his friend, probably.
Who's that?
With me. Chad.
Chad Brown. What's his last name? Okay.
It's just a mess. It's constantly causing me trouble.
Chad Daybell.
He's an author.
Doesn't he live like out in the? He's not the Chad Daybell. Hey, his wife passed away recently. Is that him?
I don't know.
But it is.
But it sounds familiar as an author.
I think I know one. He's got a couple of daughters.
He has lots of kids.
Okay. All right. What? You need anything else? Sorry to bother you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We don't mean to be a problem.
I'm just don't want to be found. So.
I mean, you had problems with that before we had.
The reason I'm living is that the brother that was going to kill me, that found emails and texts with my ex-husband, my husband, at the time, kept showing up here, so he found out where I was, and he was knocking on my door.
No, this was your brother? He showed up here and was knocking on your door.
He lives in Kansas.
And you said something about you were getting threatening emails?
Well, no. Just after my husband passed, I found emails and texts between them that they were planning all this stuff to get rid of me. Well, that's why I'm moving back. I'm moving, and I'm not going to be in a place. I'm going to live with my friend, Melanie. Don't tell anybody her name yet, because I don't want anything in my name. I put the apartment in my name, but I've been staying over here with my brother because he trusts me.
I just
about me, so.
If you back up, you can call them. Take care of it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's just a nightmare. I mean, I canceled the insurance policy since my husband passed, so there's no money. What are they going to do with JJ? Like, what do you believe?
Yeah.
So.
Well, if you have a problem, circle back up to 3 calls, we'll come and run him off or something. Okay. All right. Okay, get out of here. Say goodbye.
Thank you.
See ya.
Not.
So, Detective Sergeant, Judge, at what point do you want to do a lunch break? Do you want me to finish this part? I mean, not lunch break, mid-afternoon break.
I think anytime now in the next 5 or 10 minutes would be fine, or now if you'd like.
Well, I can finish this section and then there will be another video to play so we can break between the two.
Let's do that.
Okay, thank you, Judge. So what parts of that conversation stood out to you that caused you to take additional steps?
So at this time, when we made this contact with Lori, there were certain things that I knew already. First being that when we addressed Chad Daybell, she referred to Chad as her brother's friend. However, at this time, number one, I had seen the two of them affectionate together in the parking lot of Hobby Lobby. Number two, at this time, we also knew that they had previously been married.
Did anything about any concerns about somebody in the apartment?
So she had stated that Alex, her brother, Alex, was in the apartment. A lot of my attention at that time, if you were to notice the stairwell to my right, I had concern because of what had previously been told to me by other officers about officer safety.
And I'll object, Your Honor, to hearsay.
I'll overrule that.
Okay. What was your concern for officer safety?
As mentioned in the video, Officer Hermosillo and Hope had contacted Chad and Alex outside. They were concerned with the answers that were given to them.
I'll object, Your Honor, to hearsay.
If I can connect, the next question is, what was it about you that led you to be, that led you to be concerned for officer safety in the apartment that we saw in the video?
And the only way he can answer that is by referring to what others told him. That's my objection.
All right, there is an objection based on hearsay or that would it would elicit hearsay. What's your response to that, Ms. Smith?
Your Honor, in this instance, the statements go to this witness's state of mind. It also explains some of his observations inside the apartment, and I'm not technically offering it for the truth of what Detective Hermosillo said, is to explain what his observations were and his reaction to the situation he was in inside that apartment.
All right. The court does find that in this instance, the hearsay objection will be overruled based on the response of the state. So you can re-ask the question if you want, or if the detective remembers, he can answer.
Okay. Do you remember the question?
Why don't you refresh my memory?
What information did you have that led you to be concerned for officer safety?
Well, not only were we dealing with a situation where one of these individuals possibly was involved in an attempted shooting in Arizona, was one of our concerns that for officer safety. And number two, statements made to us that the individuals were being evasive and lying. Also, as officers, heightened our awareness of our own safety.
So while you were in there, you mentioned something about observations of the stairs. What were your observations of the stairs?
Well, one of the other odd things that I felt at that time, Lori said that her brother was there. And I found it odd that where he had been talked to just minutes earlier, that he wouldn't come down and, or if he was there, engage in this conversation. But my attention was drawn because at the top of the stairs, I could see movement, whether there was a window or a light that was reflecting, and I could see movement as it moved back and forth off the reflection of a wall. And at that time, I was concerned for safety if someone was to come down and try and surprise us.
And so at the end of the conversation, there was something about follow-up that was going to be done? When you left Lori Vallow's apartment that day at that first visit, what information where is law enforcement going to act on?
So she expressed when we talked to her that she had given the information by phone to one of my coworkers to how to contact her friend Melanie Gibb, who she claimed JJ was with, and work out some kind of a welfare check so we could check on the safety of the child.
Okay. And so at that point, that's when you and Lieutenant Ball, and who else was in that video from the law enforcement end?
That would have been Officer Kellen Wetton.
Okay. So that's when you, Officer Wetton, and Lieutenant Ball left under the belief that there was going to be contact with Melanie Gibb?
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, this would be I have another video after this, so.
Okay, let's go ahead and take our mid-afternoon break. We did take a fairly long lunch, so we'll try to shorten this one up if we can somewhat, but it does take time to get all of our jurors situated and comfortable to return, so we'll come back in just hopefully 15 minutes or so.
All right, please.
Thank you. Please be seated. All right, we can have the jurors return.
Judge, while the jurors are coming in, I ask the bailiff to give him the next exhibit, just that way it's up there?
That's fine. Thank you.
He won't open it until then. Oh, those can go to the clerk. I think we're done with those. No, those we can publish another time.
All right, please.
Thank you, Mr. Bailiff. Please be seated. Okay, we're back on the record on CR 22-21-1624, State of Idaho versus Lori Noreen Vallow. I'll remind the witness, Detective Stubbs, you're still under oath for your testimony. We took our mid-afternoon break, and we'll continue with your direct examination at this time, Ms. Smith.
Thank you, Your Honor. Detective Sergeant, did you end up going back to Lori Vallow's apartment that day?
Yes.
Okay, and that was, to be clear, November 26th?
November 26th, 2019.
Okay. And why did you go back to Lori Vallow's apartment?
So in our original encounter, as you saw in the previous video, she had said that she talked with one of our detectives and was arranging a conversation with Melanie Gibb with us concerning the welfare of JJ Vallow. At this point, we weren't able to get a hold of Melanie Gibb. She wasn't answering her phone, and the other detective advised us that she wasn't answering. So we decided to return to her apartment.
And so was that also on body cam?
Yes.
All right. And will you take a look at what's been given to you as State's Exhibit 60? Have you looked at that?
I have looked at this.
Okay. What is it?
It's a USB flash drive containing the second encounter with my body cam when we went back the second time to Lori's residence.
Okay. On November 26th?
Correct.
And you prepared that exhibit, and it's the same exhibit you prepared?
Yes.
Okay. Move for the admission of State's Exhibit 60.
Any objection to Exhibit 60?
No, Your Honor.
All right, Exhibit 60 is admitted.
And I request permission to publish, Your Honor.
You can publish it.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Apparently the computer freezes for me, but not for Mr. Rammel, so I'm going to ask him to do it. They like him better. Thank you. Thank you very much.
You want us to ask for you? Melanie is the friend.
Wasn't Melanie supposed to be her daughter or his daughter?
No, this was the friend that she's going back down to live with, she said.
She's got a number.
Let's just see if she will call and have Melanie get a hold of Hope and just do a verification. Because apparently she's not answering the phone down there.
Lori? Hi, Lori. Sorry to bother you again. Have you get hold of your friend down there?
They were going to Frozen 2 today, so they may be up for this.
Could you get a hold of her at some point and say, can you please call back the officer that's been trying to call you?
Okay, sure. Yes, I think they are in the police right now.
Okay. He's been trying to call her, or other officer. She's not answering.
Okay.
But if they're at the movie, that's...
Probably at Frozen 2 right now.
Yeah.
Because that's one thing he wanted to do.
I'm frozen too.
I don't know if I can handle a whole picture here.
Yeah. So if she'll just return his call, that'd be great. Okay. Thanks. Yes, sir.
Oh, thank you, sir. So, Detective Sergeant, after that conversation with her, what was the next involvement that you or officers had? What was your next involvement after that conversation?
As far as that day?
That day.
I'm sorry?
That day?
That was our last encounter with her that day, yes.
Did you have any contact with her after that?
No.
Okay. And then what steps, if any, did your department take in response to that visit?
Well, due to the information she provided to us this day, we were able to get a hold of Melanie Gibb, later that afternoon, evening. She advised us that she did not have JJ. She was not in Arizona, and they had not been to the movies. She said she was currently.
I'll object, Your Honor, to hearsay.
Sustained.
So did the conversation with Melanie Gibb, let's do this. So given some of the information that you had, did you assess the statements that Lori Vallow made to law enforcement that day?
Yes.
Did you find any of those statements, were they by and large accurate, or were they by and large inaccurate?
By and large, inaccurate.
How so?
She had stated JJ was in Arizona. He was not.
And I'll object, Your Honor, to hearsay. The only way he can answer that is with hearsay.
He's talking about the defendant's statements, Your Honor.
That's what I understood also. Those are the statements of a party opponent, so the hearsay objection's overruled.
Okay.
Maybe the witness could clarify who's making the statement.
Okay. So what statements of Lori Vallow did you find inaccurate?
Lori had told us that her son JJ was in Arizona. Lori Vallow had told us that her daughter was attending BYU, Idaho.
Did you have any information about her relationship with Chad Daybell, and was that consistent or inconsistent with what she told you?
Like I before mentioned, we already knew that her and Chad were married at that time.
Okay. Did you do any research into whether somebody had traveled to Rexburg in an attempt to kill her?
Yes, Lori stated to us that her brother had come to Rexburg to her apartment in an attempt to kill her for a life insurance policy.
Did your investigation reveal whether or not that brother had ever even been in Rexburg?
And I'll object. The only way to answer that is through hearsay.
That's sustained.
Okay. Did you investigate the various statements that Lori Vallow made, and did your investigation into those statements result in you and members of your office department taking steps?
Yes.
Okay. So what statements were investigated that Lori Vallow, what additional statements were investigated that Lori Vallow made to you?
If I'm understanding your question, statements of her life being in danger were looked into.
Did you find any evidence to substantiate that?
We did not.
Okay. Did you look into whether Tylee Ryan ever enrolled at BYU?
Yes.
Did you find any evidence to find that Tylee Ryan enrolled at BYU?
No.
Did you look into whether she was enrolling JJ in a special needs school in Arizona?
Yes.
Did you find any evidence to say that she had in fact re-enrolled JJ down in Arizona in a special needs school?
We did not.
Did you find any evidence in response to her statement that the principal had to drag JJ into the school in Rexburg?
Yes.
Okay, so the principal had to drag. Did you find evidence to substantiate that JJ had to be drugged into school in Rexburg?
Sorry, I must have misunderstood. We did look into it, and we found no evidence that that was the case.
And did you look into where Melanie Gibb was located at the time the defendant was claiming she was in Arizona with JJ?
Yes.
Did you find whether or not that was true, that Melanie Gibb was actually in Arizona?
I'll object. The only way to answer that is through hearsay.
I'll overrule that objection.
Okay.
Will you ask that again, please?
Absolutely. Did you find evidence to show that Melanie Gibb was in Arizona at the time Lori Vallow claimed that Melanie Gibb was in Arizona?
She was not in Arizona.
Okay. So given these various statements, did you also consider the connection to the Jeep that was wanted from Arizona in making any decisions? So
Can you rephrase that
I know there was coughing. Did you consider the factor that the Jeep was wanted in connection to an attempted homicide in Arizona in connection to your analysis of Lori Vallow's statements?
Yes.
Okay. Now, did looking at that analysis and investigation lead your department to make any investigative decisions?
Yes, at this time.
What did you guys decide to do about this stuff?
Due to the facts that we had discovered, which a lot of those were discovered later that evening, an effort was made to obtain a search warrant to go back to the residence and search the residence for evidence of JJ Vallow.
Okay. So did your department obtain that search warrant as to the apartment on the apartments on Pioneer Road?
Yes, warrants were obtained for 3 different apartments in that complex.
And what was your role in the execution of that search warrant or search warrants?
Again, I was assisting officers to search those residents for evidence of JJ Vallow. Part of my role was I did take video footage once the apartments were gone into and that they were, if you will, cleared of any danger. I went in and documented apartments 174 and 175 with video footage.
All right. May I ask that the witness be given State's Exhibit 7J a copy of his footage?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Is 7J a copy of your footage and recording of the recording that you did November 27th, 2020 of the apartments 175?
Of 2019, yes.
Okay. You move for the admission of State's Exhibit. It's 7J, Your Honor.
Any objection to 7J being admitted?
No.
All right, Exhibit 7J is admitted.
And I'm going to request permission to publish this, Your Honor.
It can be published.
Thank you. I'm going to close this real quick.
I'm videoing, so I'm doing the whole house. Okay, this is the search warrant on part number 175. 175. Just into the front door. This is the front room. Skinner. This is the damage to the door upon a no-knock entry warrant. Door. Here's the door jamb. The kitchen area. There was on arrival keys that had been left on the counter. A envelope from Amazon. This was on the front porch to Lori Vallow, 565 Pioneer Road, apartment 175, Richmond, Idaho. Kitchen, pantry, half bath, garage leading to the door leading out to the garage. This area, couches, tables, guns, located in this area. Sorry, John. I'm going that way, Rob. Staircase going up to the second level of 175. To the left, at the top of the landing, is a master bedroom. Bed. The bath and closet area. On entering, no clothing left in this closet, shower. There was some electronic devices on these. At one time I can see dust imprints. What appears to be computers. Here's a printer. On this printer is a lease agreement. Looks like executed on October 1st, 2019. And it says a Lori Ravan, R-V-A-N, as the leaser. Coming out of master bedroom, hall adjoining a laundry room to the right. Continuing down the hall to the left, a furnace, water heater, closet. Opposite that is a bathroom. Continuing down the hall, 2 bedrooms. One to the south, one to the north of the hallway. This is the one to the south. single bed, a double bed, a closet containing a couple couches, one empty box, a fan, some empty hangers, what appears to be a bedspread, and this box here that appears to have possibly winter clothes, female winter clothes inside. Continuing to the other bedroom, we have, this is the one to the north. We have a bed, what appears to be some bedding on the floor. We have 3 cases here, all containing guitars. Looks like a duffel bag full of toiletry items that would appear to belong to a male subject due to the cologne and so forth inside. This closet is also fairly barren. Looks like there are 2 samurai swords inside the closet, empty laundry basket, another basket containing some odds and ends of some sort. Nothing else in this room. That is the entire aspect of the home. I'm videoing.
Your Honor, we're happy to keep going. Whatever the court's intention is, this officer did numerous electronic search warrants. So you tell me how you want to proceed now. Of course, do it.
All right. Well, I know we aren't going to be on tomorrow. However, I still want to keep with our trial calendar. So we are at that time. I would suggest we'll adjourn if this is a good time in your examination to do so.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, then we will go ahead and resume again on Monday. And with the 3 days now, again, I'll tell you specifically, as I've told you every day before, please follow the court's admonishment to not talk about this case with anyone else or amongst yourselves while you're on this break. Please do not do anything to investigate the case. Don't look up any of the news coverage of the case. Don't follow any stories that are reporting on the case. I very much appreciate how you have continued to follow this admonishment every single day, every one of you. Your jury service is greatly appreciated by the court and by the parties. So with that in mind, we will recess for the day and we'll resume again at 8:30 on Monday for what I believe should be a full trial next week. Full week of trial, I should say, next week. So with that in mind, we'll adjourn for the day.
All right, please. That wraps up segment number 4 of our continuous coverage this week in the trial of Lori Vallow Daybell. There is more to come next week. There is no court on Friday, the 21st of April, 2023. Press subscribe so you don't miss any of our continuous coverage and discussions on this case as we continue to bring you the latest.
This is continuous coverage.
Continuous coverage. Continuous coverage.
In the trial of Lori Vallow Daybell from the Hidden Killers podcast.
Hidden Killers podcast.